Hi, my name is Victor Jimenez, and I will develop the conference entitled Workplace Health Promotion Programs and their Impact on Physical Activity Practice in European countries. Will be the index we will follow in the presentation, and then it will be at the top of each slide. Initially, we are going to address a state of the issue to address the research problem. Next, we will address the methodology used and the results obtained from our research to finally reach conclusion in accordance with our objectives. So let's address the introduction. Today, lack of physical activity is a cause of multiple chronic diseases and a decline in the quality of life. In addition, several authors have already pointed to a change in the traditional concept of health, the definition of which indicates that it must be developed in addition to preserve it. A lack of health also generates a great economic impact. Due to this factor, various health promotion interventions and health promotion policies have been carried out in the world and specifically in Europe. In this sense, the workplace has been constituted as a central environment. Work is referred to the literature as a work activity and represents a central axis of a modern and industrialized society. From an etymological point of view, the word comes from the Latin phrase tripaliare, which refers to the three posts with which slaves who refused to comply with orders imposed were immobilized. These references coincide with those proposed by Blanche. Following to Albornoz, there were three words identified with what we conceive today as work. Work, with a connotation overturned with nature and survival itself, poiesis, in relation to artistic work that does not imply survival, and practice, in references to the war and politics in the old COPs. Today, we can define the work according to the International Labour Organization, that defines set of human activity, paid or not, that produce goods or service in economy, or that satisfy the needs of a community, or provide the necessary means of sustenance for individuals. For this part, according to Noguera, the concept of work has been widely addressed in the scientific literature, although since social theory only analysis on human freedoms have excelled. Noguera distinguishes the broad and narrow concept of work, addressing it from critical social theory. While the productivist approach to work is present in today's society, this concept seems to coexist with that of a broad concept of work, ascetic and hedonistic, which seeks to achieve economic returns in organizations through the well-being of employees. Other authors point to the importance of broadly dividing work to study any model of employment of a national nature into differentiating commercial work from domestic. However, in this context, or in the context of the object of study at hand, work as a concept seems to be moving away today from another theoretical assumption that does not refer to individuals from its broad concept. In this direction, according to Noguera, there is a long foundation for sustaining the broad concept of work as a starting point towards the contemporary organization of work, its own centrality and social growth. But what's happening with workplace health promotion? Initially exists a first phase middle of 19th century focuses on the prevention and treatment of diseases. The centers in the United States incorporated the first occupational doctors, dangerous occupations, and second phase in 1970, native to Canada. The principal purpose was improvement of the health and prevention system based on the promotion of healthy habits. The third phase, 1980, emphasis on health determinants, operativations of specific outcomes variables, work stress, fatigue, anxiety, depression, physical illness. And nowadays, we have a new revolution of work toward a reduction risk factor, well-being, and talent recruitation is the principal objective. Set of action aiming at the physical and mental health and well-being of the people in the workplace. So, according with Pronk, workplace health promotion is the strategy and operational processes used to generate the health results of a defined group of individuals collectively associated for the improvement of an organization. In this line, Luxembourg Declaration explains joint force by employers, workers, and society as a work in order to promote health and well-being at work. But what happened in Europe? An employee with no preserved good health is employed with who will potentially have a job leave, sickness, and will therefore have an economic impact on the organization and enterprises. This concept is what is known as absenteeism. Another prominent concept is that of presenteeism, which refers to workers who, while not preserving optimal health for the performance of duties, regularly attend their jobs despite being sick. An important indicator on employment in Europe is labor productivity. There is evidence that supports those countries that work less hours to offer greater on productivity. In addition, according to Rodriguez Prada, in general, Europeans are less productivity than Americans, despite employing a greater number of hours to work. For their part, an interesting study for Benavides, Benach, and Roman in 1999 suggested that type of employment may have an independent effect on different perceived health problems. These indicators have a direct link to absenteeism and the economic cost that this causes for public administrations and companies. Following Martinez del Castillo, the scientific literature has identified three types of demands associated with the practice of physical activity, exercise, and sport. Established demand, which refers to the number of people who engage in physical activity and who meet their expectation according to the existence offer. Latent demand, referring to those who would like to practice, however, for some reason, social, economic, gender, not. And finally, absent demand, which would represent those who do not practice and who do not wish to engage in physical activity. So today exists 46% of our population that not practice any physical activity. The economic crisis experiences in Europe and its influence in Spain have affected the stagnation and the decrease of the number of practitioners in certain areas. In turn, there have the different barriers of practice depending on the age, gender, and social status of people. Those barriers have mainly affected women and adults and old people. Recent research shows the latent demand in both groups. The stabilized demand for practitioners in Europe stood in 2014 at 45, of which 42% point to the first reason not to practice that they don't have time. These indicators coincide with recent studies in Spain, which indicate a level of practitioners around 50% of the population from the year 2000. Also, the main argument for not physical activity in Spain is the lack of time. Although other countries in Europe have very interesting indicators of regularized practice, especially in the Nordic countries, 70%, in Sweden, 68% in Denmark, and 66% in Finland. It is logical then that these countries have a rate of sedentary lifestyle well below that in Spain, 6% of the rate in Sweden, and 7% in Finland. Contrast in a truly remarkable way with 42 in Spain. So, in line with this, the associated risk and the impact of individuals and organizations, the scientific literature shows us some of the health promotion organizations within the European labor context. In this regard, the current discussions on the flexibilization of the working day, telework, and the work and family reconciliations itself take on the current reality of the labor policies of our environment. Planning is about designing a set of actions to anticipate situations that will happen in an organization. According to Fairman, in the planning phase of a workplace program, we have to manage a large number of elements, including the involvement to the actors involved, time, money, and other resources, data extraction and interpretation, considering the role of health promotion theories and their models, decision-making, plan measuring instruments. Fairman studied from the various theories, and the National Cancer Institute of the United States used to implement in health promotion programs. In this regard, he proposed an adaptation of these and distinguished them according to three levels: individual levels, interpersonal, and organizational levels. It should be noted that the suitability of using one or the other is adapted to the context to which they are addressed. Following Feldman's contributions, once some theory was selected, a planning model would have to be addressed. Most of the models proposed in international literature are based on Deming's cycle, initially proposed of Seward. The cycle presents a circular axis based on continuous improvement ranges from identifying a problem to generating solutions is sound evaluations. So the workplace is considered an appropriate environment for promoting physical activity. Most people say that they don't do physical activity because they don't have time. Physical inactivity and unhealthy lifestyle could bring negative effects not only on health but also for the job performance of employees of organizations. So, in order to properly study the origin of the scientific interest in physical activity in working context, it's appropriate to go back in early 1950. In that decade, there was strong interest on part of the scientific community in studying myocardial infarction. In this direction, one of the most incipient epidemiological work that in this context analyzed the effect of physical activity and work occupation can be localized in 1958, according with the British physician Jeremy Morris with drivers in London. So the evolution of work understood as occupation has given rise to a diverse professional activity that themselves confronted the society of the time analyzing the classics. This set of social phenomena understood as a form of contemporary alienation could well be a logical response that fuels a certain lifestyle, allows our productivity, and the emerging consequently of so-called diseases of 21st century. Despite the importance of occupational health promotion intervention, the fact is that the disparity in publication, including the planning model of workplace health promotion programs, makes it difficult to analyze and choose one of them. There is also no simple way to classify this. Therefore, we describe our research problem below. In view to the literature, it would be interesting to carry new research before making specific interventions. It seems interesting to first examine planning models. Given the disparity in planning models, there is a need to conduct research to analyze them all to design more effectivity proposal in the future. Companies in industrialized society have detected the possibilities offered by health planning to achieve their goals. However, the disparity of publication of work that include the workplace health promotion programs, planning models makes analyze and choice difficult. So our principal goals was review workplace health promotion program, planning models, and perform. Second goals is critical analysis the planning models identified and establish novel ideas for implementation for future sports policies in workplace. As material and methods, on based on standardized inclusion criteria, electronic and manual search, paper, book chapters, and books, classified original contributions. A formal search in Spanish, English, and French languages using the PubMed, SportDiscus, Crochrane, Web of Science and Dialnet databases, as well as manual searches as the International Association for Workplace Health Promotion and the European Network for Health Promotion until August 2019. As keywords, we used health promotion, workplace, physical activity, absenteeism, productivity, workability, health management model, planification, manual searches as experts consultation and other references. Finally, coding of studies, and we have a registration sheet. So this is our planning models. Identify 6 planning models was in United States, 3 are international, and 6 by others internationals. So we are going to explain this classification. Firstly, United States-based work promotion planning models, we have proceed model of Green and Crowther. The proceed model is a comprehensive structure for assessing health needs to design, implement, and evaluate health promotion. Proceed provides the structure for planning a targeted and focused public health program. Proceed provides the structure of implementing and evaluating the public health program. The second is CDC model of a definition of employee health, risk, and planning process that develop the components health in the workplace. WellCo is another. NEOS is another workplace health promotion program. Other American models are community organization model, real-time model, and rural clinical models. International model for planning for occupational health promotion is the World Health Organization model, European planning model, the Occupational Safety and Health Management System model, reference planning models exposed by the scientific community. This is proposed by David Chenoweth. This purpose for COX planning model by Pronk, and other hand models as used in Spain with the structure specific. So general discussion is the multi-component intervention adapted to the type of work. This model of planification have to experimentally involve 9-month duration, adherence, and participation according with the literature. Are necessary aleatorized and supervised studies and even predictor variables. So as conclusions, the models were classified according to the cultural and geographical criterion that is proper to each classification proves sample from those criteria. The model presented very general methodology and found great variability, and the formation of a more specific workplace health promotion planning model could help increase the number of physical activity practitioners in Europe and improve reconciliation. So